Today's podcast is brought to you by the first original Rob Has a Podcast web series, Reality Game Masters. Watch the trailer and get more information when you visit realitygamemasters.com. Coming to you live from my apartment. It's Rob Has a Podcast. And now, here's a guy who has never once ever been accused of having a hidden immunity idol in his pants. Rob Cesternino. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Rob Has a Podcast. I am Rob Cesternino, and we are back here to talk about the Survivor Caramoan episode number 2 on our big recap podcast, coming here at you at the robhasawebsite.com. So very excited to be back with you guys again. Had a really fun show with Stephen Fishback last night on Survivor Know-It-Alls, and I spoke with the latest player voted off of Survivor, Allie. I spoke with her this morning, had a nice exit interview. This just in, she hates Shamar, so plenty of Shamar bashing coming from Allie on the interview this morning. And so getting ready for a big show here today with you guys. We've got a great guest, Holly Hoffman from Survivor Nicaragua. She's got a lot to say. She played with Brenda, and plus she wrote the opening to Phillip Sheppard's book, The Specialist, the Costa Rica Job. So we're going to talk to her about everything that she knows about this season and whether or not maybe she got bumped off this season by Dawn Meehan. So we will talk about all that with Holly Hoffman. Then later on, we're going to be joined by Nicole Cesternino. We're going to talk with her about her thoughts on the episode. And then we're going to listen to your voicemails. We're going to talk about the upcoming Rob Has a Podcast original web series, Reality Game Masters. And we're going to dive into some controversial comments that Jeff Probst made this week doing in an interview, talking about who may be the, in his opinion, the dumbest Survivor contestants. So we will try to decipher what Jeff is talking about there. So last week's episode of Survivor was mostly about the favorites and what was going on there, and then obviously voting out Francesca. This week's episode was mostly dealing with the fans and what was going on there at their crazy camp with everything with going on with Shamar, and then you had the two couples. But in the end, it was this alliance of 6, which ruled the day this week. So let's get into everything that happened last night. So let's bring in our guest here. This is somebody that we've had a lot of requests for over the years, and somebody who we never managed to get on, and I wanted to correct that, and I thought this would be a perfect time. She played in Survivor Nicaragua with Brenda, and she also wrote the foreword to the new hit book, The Specialist, the Costa Rica Job, written by the one and only CEO of Survivor. Here she is. It's Holly Hoffman.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very glad to be here.
Holly, yes, and thank you very much for coming on with us. I appreciate it.
Yes, I did write the foreword to Philip's book.
Yeah, well, we'll get into asking you exactly how that came about. But first off, how are you doing? That I know it's been a little while since we heard from you, at least here on the podcast. What have you been up to, Holly?
You know, I've actually been doing a lot of public speaking. I did not expect this after the show was over. About 2 weeks after our season, people started asking me to speak at their events. And I predicted it would probably last for, 6 or 7 months. And it's been 2 years. I've done 256 speeches. So I've been doing a lot of presentations, a lot of traveling, and I'm absolutely loving it.
And you wrote a book too, right?
I did. It's called Your Winner Within.
Wow.
Yeah. And Jimmy Johnson did my foreword.
Look at you.
So what I did with my book is the 6 things that I speak about in my speech. I speak about attitude, confidence, determination, desire, faith, and perseverance. I put those into chapters in my book. And basically what I did is I brought in some of my life stories, and I broadened them about how I feel you can better yourself in life.
Is there a lot of talk about Survivor in your book, or is it some stuff that you learned along the way before Survivor?
Actually, it's stuff that I learned before Survivor. One thing it's kind of, I've never really publicly talked about something that I put in the book. I actually come from an abusive alcoholic family. My dad was an abusive alcoholic. So I put that into my book, and I tried to take that experience, what I learned from that experience and how it made me a better person. So that's really what my book is about. It's a lot of personal experiences.
Well, that is great. That is very good stuff, and I'm glad that you are getting some positive use for yourself and others out of something bad that happened to you.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I did. Kind of the whole never giving up and the whole, that's basically what I speak about.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that you are a motivational speaker. I mostly speak about nonsense and and make people unmotivated to they do less work. So I'm glad we are balancing things out, Holly.
I actually wouldn't say that because I would like to congratulate you on your award. That is great.
Oh, thank you. Yes, the podcast award. Yes.
Yes. So that's congratulations.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into some of this Survivor here, what we're here to talk about. So let's start off with Brenda, your old buddy or rival. What's your relationship like with Brenda? I know that you had a hand in her undoing there in Survivor Nicaragua for if we go back and remember what went down.
Yes, basically it was Jane and I that put it together. And we felt at that point in the game when we got rid of Brenda that she was in total control of the game. Mm-hmm. But she wasn't, you couldn't really see a lot of it, but you could tell everybody was constantly running to Brenda, telling her everything. In fact, when we came up with voting her off, Chase actually went and told her we were going to vote her off. So we just felt like she was in too much controlling of the game. So it was Jane and I that basically decided that we were going to vote her off.
How many people were left in the game when you guys voted out Brenda in Nicaragua?
She was the second one on the jury. No, actually third, because it was Alina and then Marty and then Brenda.
Okay.
So, yes, who she was
voted
the
her out?
Third person on the jury.
It was you, Jane, Chase, and Nayanka. Is that right?
Yes.
So there had to be, 7 people left? And then Sash and Purple Kelly and Brenda didn't vote for Brenda?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. So, we had to do some convincing because Chase was always so torn. He never knew which side to go.
Oh, wait, hold on. Where's Fabio?
Crazy.
Where's Fabio and Benry and Dan Lembo?
Well, actually, they voted for that night, I believe, if I remember correctly, I think that night Fabio voted for me because he didn't know who they were voting for. Mm-hmm. And I actually can't remember what the votes were, but I know everybody pretty much agreed it was going to be Brenda that night.
Okay, so there was like 10 people left.
Yes, 10.
Oh, my God. Yeah. All right. Well,
now there were 9.
Yeah, now I'm rethinking that I picked Brenda to be my winner, and she came in 9th place.
Yeah, she was. It was because Brenda and Marty were voted off, and right after that was when Nayanka and Purple Kelly quit. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Terrible.
Yeah. It's not a good situation.
All right. So what's your relationship like? Are you friends with Brenda, or is Brenda upset with you for voting her out?
I had a really hard time when I got back to the Ponderosa. There were only 2 people that greeted me, and it was Alina and Brenda. I have always felt like Brenda has never had any hard feelings towards me. I sent her emails after the show, and she would always return them. When I found out that she was on this next season, I wished her luck. She returned my emails. Every time I posted on her Facebook, she's always said thank you. So I think Brenda's okay with everything.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
Holly,
she's a very nice person.
Why were people mean to you when you got back to Ponderosa? What were you doing to people out there?
Well, that's a long story. When I got voted off and I showed up at the Ponderosa,
yeah,
Alina came out and she said to me, "You have a lot of enemies in there." And I looked at her and I said, "I know." And basically it was because I voted all these people off.
Yeah.
And what a lot of people don't realize is you go to the Ponderosa and they're still playing the game. And so when Brenda came over, she was like, "Just come on in, you'll be okay." And I went in and nobody talked to me until the next day. Well, I found out from someone later that there were two people that were at the Ponderosa that were still scheming and playing the game and were telling people things about me that were not true because they were so worried I was going to make the final three and had the possibility of winning.
Okay. That Ponderosa. Things get crazy at Ponderosa.
Yeah,
That's yeah.
I was actually shocked when I showed up. I couldn't believe it. But the next day it was a lot better.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. All right, so the big question that I'm getting from a lot of people is, Brenda, it's really, people like Brenda, Corinne, too, I hear that, we're not seeing a lot about them. Are they in trouble? And especially for Brenda, she voted against Andrea last week, and she was in that alliance with Eric and with Brandon. Is there any coming back now for Brenda?
The second episode, we didn't see Brenda. She didn't say a one word. We saw all her facial expressions, but we just didn't see her. Brenda's a good player. I think Brenda will recover. In her own way, Brenda will recover. I think, of course, she's not with the numbers, and she realizes that now. But I think she'll come back.
Being down in the numbers early is not a death sentence. Isn't that right, Holly Hoffman?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, you have to take this game every second of the day. Things change all the time. I thought I was going to be off right away. What saved me was the Blue Rock, picking the Blue Rock, getting in with those young kids. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of gameplay left.
And you were, correct me if I'm wrong, re-energized by the swap on your season. And maybe for Brenda, that's this. She's got to take a page out of the young Holly Hoffman playbook.
Yeah.
Wait around for a swap.
You have to do that.
Because she's not in a good spot right now, but I don't think it's the end of the world for her either, because if you got this Brandon Hance going loco down at the camp, maybe yes, Brenda is a threat, but maybe she's not necessarily the next target, and you got to think they're going to mix it up at some point. They did on the original Fans versus Favorites.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's my prediction, that's what's going to happen. And I think Brenda's going to be okay. I think she's just kind of laying low. She's one, I know when I played with her, what I would feel from Brenda is when we were sitting around camp, she would sit and she would evaluate everything. Mm-hmm. A lot of times she did not say a lot, but she was thinking all the time. And that's what's good about Brenda.
Does she do a bad job of disguising that, though? It seems like in the preseason sort of thing, everybody's like, oh, we got to watch out for Brenda. We got to watch out for Brenda. Mm-hmm. And it's like nobody seems to be fooled that she's not thinking about the game all the time. Does she need to lighten up a little bit and, show off a little more personality and less thinking about the game 24/7?
I actually think she is showing her personality. You see her smiling more. She's, of course, you see the facial expressions. She's in the challenge. She looked like she was having fun. And you're right, because the first thing that someone said about her when she stepped off the helicopter was, oh, she's a good player. We have to watch out for her. But I don't know. I think that she seems a lot more laid back this time than the first time she played. And that's just my perception of the entire thing. But I think she's a lot more laid back.
Mm-hmm. It just seems like nobody wants to work with her on this Heroes Tribe. She was the one person Philip didn't go up to and say, hey, let me make an alliance with you. You don't see too many of the other girls hanging around her. You don't even see, Malcolm or even Cochran talking to her. And Cochran's talking to everybody. And so,
do you think that has something to do with she's the only one from Nicaragua?
It's possible. I mean, it's weird the way that this tribe is broken down. You have basically 6 people who were from 2 seasons, and then everybody else is from their own season. But it might have been, maybe it would have been more fair to have another buddy from Nicaragua. Maybe if Holly Hoffman was out there, maybe it could have been a different story for Brenda right now.
I would have loved to have been out there. Holly,
so here's what I want to know. Now, I don't know who's on these shows, and God knows they don't ever call me to come back on these shows. But I hear stuff through the grapevine, and I have to say, I felt like I was hearing your name thrown around a lot in the rumor mill in the weeks and months leading up to coming back on this season. Were you in the mix here for Survivor 26?
This is what I'll tell you. If I'm asked to come back, it's a definite yes, but you have to be cast.
Yes. Okay.
So that's, I would play again. Yes.
Did Dawn steal your spot, Holly? Is that what happened? Were you going to be cast on the show, and then Dawn came around, and then they put Dawn on the show instead of you?
That darn Dawn.
Darn Dawn. What happened? Were you cursing during Survivor South Pacific?
Yeah, maybe.
Would you throw any of Dawn's shoes into the river?
Maybe her striped socks. What do you think of those striped socks?
But why do you think that they would go? What is for the tail of the tape looks pretty even. Why are they going after Dawn instead of you, Holly?
I have no idea. Let's just keep our fingers crossed. Maybe in the future.
Okay.
Did you actually know that Dawn was cast for my season?
No, and then they gave her spot to you.
She was cast for season 21.
Okay.
And then after I went to the casting call, they took her off and they put me on.
Oh, so now it's karma.
Maybe, yeah. So
it's the circle of life now.
I know, but I haven't met Dawn. I've met her on Twitter. So, I felt bad for her last night because she was crying and all that, but it happens. And, as I was watching last night's episode, it was when you're out there, and I just feel for these people. And I was watching Twitter and some of the comments that were being made about Dawn, and I just tweeted her and I'm like, Dawn, it's okay to cry. And the best thing that Dawn did was she went off by herself to cry. So, yeah.
Okay, well, good. Let's break down Dawn a little bit. And now, you famously, on the second episode of the season, had probably your lowest moment back in Nicaragua. Is that a fair statement?
Oh, total meltdown. A lot of people were like, Holly, did they edit that? And I'm like, no. When I took the whole shoes, when I took Dan's shoes, I did it.
Yeah.
I had people emailing me and texting me and saying, did they make you do that? I did not. I just did not fit in right away. I just felt like I should not be there.
Yeah.
And that's a bad feeling.
Yeah. Well, you were really great that you owned up to everything that you did, and then you didn't try to, after the fact, no, actually, that was my strategy. I said all along on day 4, I'm going to take somebody's shoes and put them in the river, and then I'm not going to tell anybody. But, I think you totally owned that moment. You said, look, I don't know what I was doing. Something came over me, and I'm sorry, but I did it.
I have to be honest with you. I just didn't like Dan at the beginning of the game, and I like him now. He and I are great friends, but he just really got under my skin. And he just, he was always laying around, and he just wasn't working. He wasn't doing anything. And don't get me wrong, if you can afford these types of things, that's great. But, he was telling us how much everything cost. And he just, I don't know, it just got under my skin. And I should have never done it strategically. It was a bad move. But you know what? Would I ever do it again if it was the same thing? Probably, because I don't know. I just didn't like him at the beginning of the game.
Yeah. So was Dan your Shamar?
Yeah. Yes, probably. I got his nickname for Shamar.
Oh, yeah. What is it?
Shut up.
Yeah. That's his favorite word. Shut up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what was it? 10 minutes into the first day? He's like, let's just sit around here and talk. I'm like, what? And there's Matt. He's working his butt off to get the shelter built and everything. So, wow, there's been some tense moments.
You don't get a lot of day one shut ups on Survivor. That's
Not
very
a
rare.
Lot. No, and there's been a lot of shut ups.
Yeah, a lot of shut ups, especially with new players. You think everybody is normally on their best behavior especially on a day one. But for a guy like Shamar, I guess, where you're over 300 pounds, it must take so much fuel and energy to, get this huge body to move at all. I have no idea what that's like to be over 300 pounds and on Survivor and have, here's, 250 calories God knows that whatever I weigh, to move.
That had to be a complete shock.
Yeah.
For and let's
system.
admit it, the fans, of course, have the disadvantage of not knowing each other. And that, of course, hurts them when they start the game. But to go in and act like that right away, wow. That was a shock.
Yeah. So I just think that for Shamar, like this game, what it's doing to him could be, drastically different what it's doing to these people that are, 160, 170 pounds. I mean, does that make sense that the game could be twice as hard for Shamar?
Completely.
Yeah.
Because the sleep deprivation and the starvation, he is, like you said, he is a big guy, 300 pounds. And then all of a sudden you're living off, what did he say? 2 cups of rice?
I think 2 spoonfuls. Yeah.
2 scoops. That's a big shock.
Yeah. That is a big shock for Shamar. Yeah. So let me stick with these favorites for a little bit here. And let me go back to Dawn. And so Dawn, after the challenge or after the tribal council, she came back and basically told Brandon, how it was. And Brandon was sort of yelling at her, and then she got very upset. Did you think that Brandon Hance was too hard on Dawn, or do you think that Dawn was overly sensitive?
Personally, I think Dawn is very sensitive. She is a very sensitive person. But this is the way I look at it. You come back from tribal council. Okay, there's going to be some hurt feelings. I think the way Dawn approached Brandon was wrong. Mm-hmm. Maybe pull him aside. I remember doing that one time with Nyanka. I just pulled her aside and I didn't do it in front of everybody. Maybe if she would have just pulled him aside and said, okay, Brandon, this is what you need to do. But you have to remember that you're not out there to make friends. And Dawn is a mother. I think she was trying to look at Brandon and say, Brandon, you can't act like this. You're being mean to people. You're being mean to me. But I wouldn't have said anything. Yeah. I would have just let him say what he wanted to say, get it out of his system, and I'd have walked away. Well, because what happens at tribal council, it's over. You get back to camp and you think about the evening, you think about the next day. So personally, I don't think Dawn is very sensitive, but she should have never said anything to him.
Just to set the stage for the people who are listening to the podcast of what this moment is sort of like. So, you sit there, you're at tribal council, you cast your votes, Jeff comes back, he counts the votes, now somebody gets voted out, and then you grab Jeff says your little thing like, hey, just so you guys know, just because you voted somebody out doesn't mean you know what's going on. I'll see you next week. So, and then you walk out, you take your torch, and now we're stopped because, and rightfully so, as for our viewers, they don't want anything to happen on the way back from tribal council. So now, once you leave the tribal council, okay, everybody's quiet. You're not allowed to talk. Then you get back to camp. Now you're finally allowed to talk. And so now I'm sure maybe Brandon Hance is giving Dawn the death stare for the whatever it is, 15, 20 minutes, whatever it takes for them to be back at the camp now. And so maybe Dawn feels compelled here to say, all right, I know you're mad. Let me just tell you what's going on. But this never really goes well, this moment here to talk to the people who were part of the blind side but didn't get voted out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He knows that he's not with the numbers, mm-hmm. So he's very upset, makes the comments about, how he's going to go out, or he feels like Rambo. He said that. And I just, knowing Brandon's personality, you don't know exactly how he's going to react. You don't know, okay, is he going to be nice to you this time or mean to you this time? That's why I think Dawn should have just avoided it and just said, let him just say what he wanted to say and move on. That's probably what I would have done.
Now, Holly, you played with somebody like this. Is this a fair comparison to call Brandon's behavior similar to what you guys experienced with Nyanka?
Yes, Nyanka there was a lot of stuff that they didn't show. And, Nyanka, of course, got caught stealing and she was very upset. And I just remember just thinking, sometimes the more you say to someone like that, the worse it's going to get. So by saying nothing, just let her get it out of her system and move on. But I guess with Brandon, what bothers me is, how he's confessing how he's going to go out with a bang. And then the next in the next sentence, he's like, I'm not going to quit. I have to do this for my children. So he's at one level and then he's at the next level. So you never know what to expect with him.
Was Nyanka like that too? Because it seems like there were times where she was kind of low key, and then other times it seemed like there was times where she was just totally set off. I mean, how do you deal with somebody like that?
Well, I always actually Nyanka looked at me like a mom. So I wasn't afraid to just say something nicely to her. And then if she didn't accept it, move on. I remember when she stole the food, I went over and I said, you need to confess to doing this. And she didn't want to. But, I guess I could see myself. I guess you can see what Dawn did. It was okay. But at the same time, learning from what I played before, I probably wouldn't say anything. Because when I would say something to Nyanka, most of the time, she'd listen, but sometimes it just added fuel to the fire.
Yeah. It seems like Brandon needs somebody here to pull him in. And we saw the approach that Phillip tried to take with him. And so I want to know your take on the conversation that Phillip had with Brandon, where basically Phillip took Brandon aside and Brandon's asking, well, do you trust me? Phillip said, I got to say right now, I got to get back to you because right now, I'm the CEO, you're middle management. And you got to work your way up to being the CEO. Now, I don't know if Phillip ever said he was the CEO, but I think it was sort of implied that he sort of said, hey, look, people want to start at a company. They want to be the CEO, but you got to start at middle management before you get the CEO. So
well, and then, I also got when he told him everything and then he's telling him, minimize the flow of information. And Phillip's telling him all this stuff. He's listening. But then as he leaves, he goes and tells everybody back at camp that Phillip is a bully.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there again, you see the two-sided levels that Brandon's at. It's kind of scary sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, basically, this seems like he's just trying to stir the pot here, try to get everybody to turn on Phillip. And it's basically, I think Survivor is a game that you're much better off with subtle moves. If this is what Brandon wants to do, if he could go individually, you spend some time with Malcolm and say, hey, Malcolm, I got to tell you, Phillip really rubbed me the wrong way when he said to me, he told me he's the CEO. But when you come back and now it's like, hey, everybody, guess what Phillip just did? Now, everybody is like, oh boy, what's up with Brandon? What's he doing? I mean, isn't this obvious that he's trying to turn everybody against Phillip? So, I mean, I know I'm not going out on a limb by saying Brandon Hance, I'm not happy with his gameplay here, but I think there's a smarter way to do what he was trying to do.
Right. I think what he does is he wants to get everybody involved instead of just pulling one or two people aside. He says it, he just blurts it out in front of everybody. Mm-hmm. So, and saying how he wants to go out with a bang, I thought that was an interesting comment because to me, that just tells me that, nobody wants to go out of the game. Everybody wants to get to the end. So making that comment is like, okay, what are you trying to say? Yeah. I thought that was a very unusual comment.
It is an unusual comment. I mean, can you think of any survivors that have gone out with a bang? I mean, what does that even mean?
Yeah. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's just a weird comment. What is your goal? Everybody's there for one thing, and that's to get to the end.
Yeah.
And he's already saying he wants to go out. So I just thought that was strange.
That is strange.
Yeah.
Who knows what he's thinking. Now, talking about Phillip, and I got to know this. Now, how are you and Phillip so close that you wrote the foreword to the Specialist, the Costa Rica job?
Well, I met Phillip at a charity event. Well, I'm going to back up a little bit. When I watched Phillip on his first season, I have to admit my first impression was, this guy is crazy. What is wrong with this guy? I couldn't wait to watch the next episode just to see what Phillip was going to do. And then as I'm sitting at home and I'm watching the finale, as I'm watching Phillip, I think to myself, that is not the same guy. Mm-hmm. He was completely different at the finale. I met him at a charity event, and he is a great person to be around. He's got a great personality. He's funny. He's energetic. He's a very social person. And you have to remember that there are some people that are perceived one way on a reality show, but in real life, they may not be like that because they're playing that game. And so Philip asked me to read his book. I was one of 4 people that he let read it. And he kept asking me to read it. And I have to be honest with you, I just didn't read it. So he kept asking me, aren't you going to read my book? And finally I was like, okay, I'll read it. I started reading it and I couldn't believe what I was reading. I couldn't put the book down. I think a lot of people don't expect what you're going to get out of this book. And so he started calling me and we started talking, and he asked me if I would be willing to write the foreword in his book. And I said, absolutely, I'd be honored.
Yeah.
So that's basically how it all started. And I really think that if you read the book, have you read the book?
I haven't yet.
Okay. It's good. It's a very good book.
Okay. And did Philip offer you a position anywhere in Stealth R Us Inc.? Did you get any stock options? I
didn't. I need to talk to him about that.
Not even a middle management position?
No.
Yeah, because
I would be. I don't know, but for writing a foreword, I would be way above middle management.
Okay.
Don't you think?
I would think so. I mean, if that's where Brandon Hance is starting, yeah, I think
so. No, there's no comparison. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's switch over back to the fans, because they were the ones that went to tribal council last night. And so we saw some more detail into their lives and what's going on over there at Fans Beach. We saw in the first episode that mostly about this, the cool kids group, which thought they had the numbers, and it turned out that they did not. I want to get your take on somebody who I thought was doing a pretty good job over there. How about this Sherry, who is the woman who said she took Shamar aside and said, I want Shamar to be my Philip. So you have Philip playing the BR rules over there, and Philip is going to play Boston Rob, and now you have somebody on the other side that said, okay, I'm going to be Boston Rob, and I'm going to even get my own Philip.
Yeah, nice move. Sherry, I call the strategist. She observes everything. She knows at this point of the game, she knows exactly who she needs to talk to. And she also uses, I think, a little bit of her charm. You know, she looked at Shamar and she's like, you know, we need you. You need to be with us. Mm-hmm. And she knew what she was doing and she made the right move. I thought that was an excellent move.
Yeah. No, that was good. I think you can contrast that to what Philip did with Brandon. And instead of, if Philip would have said to Brandon, hey, Brandon, look, you're not our top guy, but we need you right now. And you're a big part of this organization. And that's, I think, that's kind of more along the lines of, I think, what Boston Rob did with Philip of, hey, you got to earn your way into this, but we need you. I got big plans for you, as opposed to say, hey, look, I'm the CEO, and don't schedule a meeting don't call me, I'll call you when we need something from you, and you got to earn your way in. But I felt like that was more what that Sherry did with Shamar of, hey, you're a big part of this.
Yeah, I thought it was an excellent move. When she made that move, I was like, Sherry, that's perfect. She was great. Yeah. Great move.
I thought so too. And she said later on in the episode, she said, I want Shamar sleeping in this shelter with us tonight, and he's not going anywhere. Yeah.
So I have to, I think right up to this point, Sherry's playing a great game.
No, she is playing a very good game.
Yeah, and she really is.
No sign of a breakdown either.
I know. Can you believe it? And she's not stealing anything. So she's doing well.
Yeah, she's not stealing anything. And nobody is talking about, hey, we got to get rid of her. Whereas we had somebody a couple seasons ago in Christina Kell, who I thought was, somebody who also was a take charge kind of woman in the game. But she had the misfortune of being on a tribe with Boston Rob and saying, hey, we can't have this around. We got to get rid of her. So this is a good spot for Sherry because nobody is saying we got to get rid of Sherry.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree.
Now, that being said, she seems definitely like the kind of person that you get a few favorites now in the mix here, and it feels like almost like going back to getting rid of Gretchen on the first Survivor of, hey, this is the woman here who's calling all the shots. We need to get rid of her so that we can have our way.
Yeah, exactly. And I think what I like to see about Sherry is she doesn't come across as being someone who's real bossy, because what I liked with her is when Laura came up to the conversation, remember, just before they went to tribal council, she asked Laura, what do you think? Instead of telling Laura what they were going to do, she asked her, who do you think we should vote off? So I thought that was a great move.
Yeah, no, you're
right.
That
was another good move.
Always better to ask other people, what do you want to do, rather than, all right, here's what we're doing.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, let's go to this immunity idol and the way that this happened last night. So you had Reynolds and, you had Laura, who spotted the bulge in his shorts or in his pants, and luckily she was right. It was the hidden immunity idol. And so, Jeff says, hey, Laura, what's going on? She says, oh, I don't know. So I think somebody might have the idol. And ultimately we get it established that it's Reynolds. And so now in your season, we also had a very public airing of the hidden immunity idol when Marty came back to you guys, right, and said, hey, everybody, just want to let you know I have the idol. Now,
yep, held it up in front of all of us. Yep.
Yeah. So how does this change things, knowing somebody has the hidden immunity idol in the tribe?
It's a huge change, because you either have to flush the idol out, or they have the idol. But I think with this season, what was hard is Marty just held it up and we were all at camp. But here the decision was apparently made who they were going to vote for, and then Laura brings it up at tribal council. So that puts a completely different twist into the game. However, they still would have had the numbers. If Shamar would have gone home, they still would have been 4-5. So I think it would have been okay. Luckily, that's not how it ended up. But that's a huge twist in the game.
So now, okay, put yourself in the position of the favorites the fans next week. Let's say, hypothetically, the favorites win immunity again. And now, let's say you'll be Sherry, okay? So, all right, it's next week. You're going to tribal council. Reynolds has the hidden immunity idol, okay?
Oh.
Now, I'll be Reynolds. I know I have the hidden immunity idol, okay? What are you doing? How are you going to play this? You have 5 people in your or 6 people in your alliance at this point. I have 3 in mine, but I have the idol.
Well, this is what I would do. And if I was in that situation, the first thing I would do is, I got back to camp, I would pull him aside. And I know you're probably thinking this is crazy, but this is because you've got a lot of gameplay left. I would actually use Reynolds with the idol, and I would either try to switch things up as far as who I'm going to take with me and try to get rid of some of those other people, or of course you would have to go in and try to blindside them, but you can't do that, because I would actually go and talk to Reynolds and say, okay, I know you have the idol. Do you want to be in with us or don't you? But then he's going to have to turn on the other people that he's been with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a very tricky spot, because this is the always tricky 9-person, 6 people on one side, tricky. 3 people on the other side, but the 3 side has the hidden immunity idol. So the 6-person side says, okay, this is simple. Now all we have to do is split the vote 3-3. So whoever plays the idol will vote out the other person. But as we saw most famously on Heroes versus Villains with Tyson, all the 3-person side, now they've got 6 shots here, and all they have to do is flip 1 person in that group of 6, and now they've got the upper hand.
Yeah, but I still think that's what I would do. I would talk to Reynolds and say, okay, here's the situation. And I think if anyone can do it, it would be Sherry. Sherry could do it.
Yeah.
I just, for some reason, I think she could pull that off.
Yeah. It's interesting. Or, Reynolds is not completely dead in the water here either, because there was the Matt and Mike. Those were the 2 swing votes that they thought they were going to have. Now, all of a sudden, there's 4 other people with Sherry, Shamar, Laura, and the other girl. Who's there? So,
Is it
Julie?
there's
Julie?
Hope and
Julie?
there's Julia.
Julia.
Yeah, Julia.
So she's with them, and then if Matt and Mike, they're in a position where they could go over with Eddie and Hope and Reynolds, and then they have 5-4. So I think this fans tribe is going to be pretty interesting to follow here if they have to go to another tribal council.
Just from watching Sherry this episode, I think that she's gonna try to get Reynolds on her side.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what I think she's going to do. I think there's going to be some twist in there that she's going to say, okay, I need this guy. He's got something here. So that's what I think is going to happen.
She is the nucleus over there from what we're following, because she needs to keep Matt and Mike in the fold, and she needs to keep Shamar in the fold, and she needs to also keep those 2 younger girls in the fold.
Yeah, and she's playing with a lot. I mean, these girls are young.
Mm-hmm.
So I think whatever she does with these young girls it's going to be very interesting. Are they going to listen to her or aren't they? That's going to be interesting to watch.
But, she's really set herself up in sort of the Boston Rob spot of the person at the center of a number of different alliances over there.
Absolutely, 100%.
So we'll see. Well, hopefully she's not too much of a target.
Well, and did you notice what she said? We all know who she voted for, but when she said it was a great, also at Tribal Council, where she said, well, I'm still voting for who I said I was voting for. And then she paused and she said, maybe. So I thought that was perfect. I was like, yes, Sherry.
Yeah.
So, it was almost like she was saying, what are you guys going to do? So that was a good move also.
Yeah. So we'll see. That this fans tribe could be very interesting. A lot of stuff going on here with the favorites. I think it's going to be a fun season.
Yeah, I do too. And the favorites, of course, they didn't get a lot of airtime, but it was okay because I felt like I got to know the fans a lot more the second episode. It'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah. All right. So you want to take apart some of these questions that we get here from our listeners?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right, here we go. These come to us every week from our the listeners who go to our Facebook fan page. Go to facebook.com/Rob as a podcast. All right.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. Where do we want to start? Here, let me start with an easy one. This comes to us from a listener named Marty Piombo. He wants to know, who was your favorite older player that had spiky hair, and would she have violated her South Dakota Code of Honor to work with him to get to the final 3?
My favorite player with spiky hair?
Yes.
No, this person would have not violated my South Dakota Code of Honor. Do you remember Marty saying that to me?
I don't remember it exactly, but I believe you that he said it.
I have to go back a little bit, because bringing up the South Dakota Code of Honor, a lot of people, when I started playing the game, they thought I was from Minnesota because I have this accent, which truthfully, Rob, can you hear this accent that I have?
A little bit, yeah.
You can?
Yeah, I do.
See, and I can't. But when I told them I was from South Dakota, the whole accent and the whole South Dakota thing was not aired. It was, they would get up in the morning and they would, I don't want to say make fun of my accent, but they would all talk like I do. So of course, when Marty thought he was going home, he of course thought that I was going to break my South Dakota Code of Honor. So he made me promise him that I have to keep my South Dakota Code of Honor. So that's where it all comes into play with the South Dakota Code of Honor.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. And Marty's.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's a question that comes to us from Ron Chan, and he wants to know, at this point in the game, what kind of motivational speech would you give to Reynolds, Eddie, and Hope? Okay, they're down in the numbers. They need a Holly Hoffman speech pronto. What do you got for them?
Well, the first word I would use for Reynolds is, I gave each of these people a nickname as well as I'm watching the show, but they need to use some teamwork here. The first mistake they made is they were having their own little party.
Holly, we got to get the nicknames here before you go any further.
Reynolds, well, I actually couldn't. I couldn't really decide between Reynolds, RHAP. You know, he was cuddling with Allie at the beginning.
Like
Reynolds,
a Reynolds rap? Okay, we'll take that.
Yeah. Okay. And then I couldn't decide between that and Cry Boy.
wait, why is he Cry Boy?
Well, he almost started crying at tribal council. Didn't you see it? Okay. And then who was the next one? Hope?
Yeah, Hope.
Okay. No.
Her nickname is No?
Get it? No Hope.
No Hope. Okay. All right. All right, keep going.
All
right.
Next one.
All right. I'm getting that you have to think outside the box a little bit for these. All right, give me Eddie.
You know, I actually didn't give Eddie a nickname, so maybe somebody can help me with Eddie. I did not give Eddie a nickname.
All right. Sorry. And you already told us your nickname for Shamar is Shut Up.
Yep. And I gave Brandon a nickname. His nickname is Boomerang.
Why is that?
Well, you never know where he's at.
Yeah, or he's going to come back at you.
And Julia is of course, the invisible racer.
Yeah.
Seriously, did you see her?
She's in your blind spot. That's where she is.
And Laura is Snoopy.
Because she's snooping to see who has the idol?
The bulge. I mean, she was snooping for the bulge. Okay. That's the way I look at it. Who else did I have? Allie, I had Goodbye Girl. That's sad. But that's all I came up with. But I need to get back to this question. What was the question?
The question, motivational speech for these three.
Yeah, it would definitely have to be something in the lines of teamwork. Teamwork and maybe coming together and having a little bit more determination. Yeah. I think these four got together and they just thought, here we go. And that's just not the way it works in Survivor. Things don't just fall into your lap.
No.
So definitely something with teamwork.
They do not. Joel Hooper wants to know, were you aware that when women of a certain age have a crying jag during the first weeks of Survivor, it's called crawling into a holly hole? And do you take that as a compliment as it was intended? The way you overcame your emotions was admirable. Now, did you know that that's what this is called now?
I didn't, but I don't know how I should take that. I'm going to take that as a nice compliment because I did crawl into that holly hole. It was bad. But, you know, the good thing about it was I got out.
Yeah.
I didn't get buried. So that's what was the important thing. But I didn't realize that that's what it's called now.
Yeah. Holly, I crawl into one at least twice a month, and I'm not even playing Survivor. Yeah.
It happens.
Have a breakdown.
Yeah, what do you do?
Yeah, I just take Nicole's shoes and I throw out a bunch of them. And I say, do you know how much money we've spent on shoes in the last 6 months?
Okay, Rob, I have to tell you this, though. Like 3 days after I took Dan's shoes, he told me that it was okay. He has 20 more pairs at home. Add it up.
Holly, give us a good Dan Lembo story. I feel like I was getting ready for this podcast. I was pulled a picture of you, and I saw a picture of Dan Lembo from your finale, and he's wearing a tuxedo, and he's basically more tan than any other human being I've ever seen in my entire life. Give me a good Dan Lembo story.
Okay,
make me laugh.
This is at the finale. And we're sitting there, and I gave Dan those ostrich cowboy boots. And I basically did it because, you know, I felt really bad about taking his shoes. Not. So anyway, I hand him his shoes, his boots, and he leans over and he kisses me on the cheek. So we go into the next commercial, and I look over at him and I said, Dan, do you just realize what you did on national television? And he looks over at me and he goes, no. And I said, you just kissed me on the cheek. And he goes, I know, wasn't it great? And I looked back at him and I said, no, not really. Yeah, Dan is Dan.
He's a trip, Dan Lembo.
He is.
When do you remember when we did I think you and Dan were on the phone, we were doing the exit interviews, and we're like halfway through the interview and he's like, let me ask you guys, is this mandatory? Do I have to do this? Like, I guess you don't have to. Nobody's holding a gun to your head.
Wasn't it like 6 in the morning?
Yeah, I don't know what time it was. I mean,
and then remember, he kept saying, I got to catch my flight. How long is this going to take?
Sorry, Dan. I know. People are waiting for Dan Lembo.
I know. Oh, Dan.
Okay.
He's a grandpa now. Did you know that?
I had no idea.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. Good for Dan.
Yeah.
Get some leather alligator skin baby shoes.
Yeah. I got to go buy a baby gift tomorrow.
Yeah, perfect. All right, Stephen Fishback has a question for you.
Okay, Stephen.
He wants to know, actually, I really want to hear what Holly thought of the Sash-Brenda dynamic. How much was it a partnership? All right, so this is, I think, a good question.
Okay.
Who was calling the shots there with Sash and Brenda? Who was the CEO and who was middle management?
Sash.
Sash was the CEO.
Yes, Sash was calling the shots. And when we merged and I got in with Sash, and it was basically Sash and Chase, Nyanka, and Jane. Jane was the one that said, we need to get rid of Brenda. And Sash agreed. So Sash stayed with us and he helped us get rid of Brenda.
The Sash EO.
Sash-EO of Sash.
Okay. Well, then, if Sash was the CEO, where's his butt on this season?
I don't know. Did you know he just got married?
I think I did see that on Facebook.
Yeah. So I don't know where Sash is.
Yeah, good for Sash.
Sash was. I was really close to voting for Sash. He didn't get a one vote our season, but I almost voted for Sash. We had a really bitter jury. So, of course, with Fabio winning the last 3 challenges and he didn't upset anyone, you kind of expected who was going to win. You thought who was going to win, but he only won by 1 point. But it's still, Sash played the game hard.
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah, he's a good player.
He is. Very good player.
Here's a very important question from Kevin Donnelly. He wants to know, does Brenda remind her of Purple Kelly due to her lack of airtime? Is Brenda reminding you of Purple Kelly right now?
No.
She's not being Purple Brenda right now?
No, not at all. Just because she has a purple bathing suit, there's no resemblance.
Okay.
None.
Well, if she doesn't talk soon, we are going to call her Purple Brenda.
I know. I just think that Brenda's a smart player. She is. And, sometimes, don't you think he's playing really hard right now?
Very hard.
And very hard. So that's either good or bad. But Brenda I think she's going to be okay.
Okay. Lori Ubelhor Martin wants to know, if you had been cast on Caramoan instead of Dawn, Holly, would you have voted Francesca off, or at least, or would it have been too mean to have done so? And Previously on Survivor really is debating this move. Okay, so our friends at Previously on Survivor are in a big debate. I'm not sure if it was whether you would have done it or whether it was too mean, but could you have voted Francesca off twice? First person voted off twice.
Well, what you need to remember is this is a game. And when you're playing the game of Survivor, sometimes you need to do what you need to do to survive. So was it mean? Well, I felt bad for Francesca, to be honest with you. Who wants to be the first person voted off of Survivor every time? Both times. But to stay with the numbers and to go with who they were going to vote off, I will have to say yes, that I would have voted her off.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
You got to do what's best for you. If it's your best strategic move to vote off Francesca first, yeah, I don't think you can be worried about, boy, I bet this is going to be a bitter pill for Francesca to swallow. Yeah. But you got to, everybody's out there to do what's best for them.
Absolutely. And, I felt bad for her. I'm not going to lie. I did. I mean, who wants to have that happen to them twice? But when it comes down to Survivor, it's a game. And that's what you need to remember is someone's got to go and someone's got to stay. And
right.
I felt bad for her. I really did. But I would have. Yes, I would have.
Yeah. Because you know what? If you could go ahead and you could stick your neck out to say, oh, hey, guys, I think this is pretty mean. Let's not vote Francesca out. Next thing, your name's on the chopping block.
Yeah. And you have to remember, Dawn and Cochran are in a situation where who are they going to go with? And look who they went with. So they both went into that position. So I would have done what Dawn did.
Okay. All right. Speaking of Dawn, I got another Dawn question.
Okay.
Hakan Hacktanir wants to know, Holly, what are your thoughts on the rumors that Dawn sent bread to production as a bribe to get her back on the show? What do you think of these rumors? Dawn sent bread to everybody at CBS, and that's why they put her on the show instead of you. And will you be baking bread now? It's very delicious.
Have you had some?
I have. I have had Dawn's bread.
Okay. Well, first of all, I did not hear that rumor.
Yes.
If I'd have known that, I probably would have sent them homemade apple pie or peach pie. So, to throw a little bit of a competition in there. So I didn't know that she was sending them bread. I don't know if she was sending them bread.
Okay.
So it's probably, I can't say because I don't know if it's true or not true.
Was that the tiebreaker? Did Dawn promise them, if you put me on instead of Holly, I'll send you bread every week?
I would have sent him a pie every other day.
Okay. Well,
but I guess I didn't hear that. So I didn't know that she sent them bread if she did. Do you know if she sent them bread?
Well, I'm telling you, somebody said it's a rumor on the internet, so it's probably true.
Wow, she likes to bake. I think her name should be Betty Crocker, don't you? Her nickname?
Yeah, well, I think that would be a better nickname than True Grit. I think that one.
Yeah,
I think
the
CEO might have spread himself a little too thin, coming up with 6 nicknames this season.
Yeah, the specialist was probably not thinking about that one as much as the other ones.
Okay. Here's a question that I want to get your opinion on. This is from Keith Dixon. All right, now this is going back to last week, and there was a lot of discussion of, is Francesca the worst Survivor player of all time? And I said no, Holly. I said she's not. Okay. So then the obvious question was, who is? And I came up with, deals with that. Keith Dixon says, Rob said that Wendy was the worst person to ever play the game of Survivor. Do you agree with that? And when did you realize that aligning with her was a bad idea? So yes, I did a formula, Holly. I said, okay, who is least athletic? Who is least liked by her tribe, and who is the least strategic person? And I put this all into the computer, and your tribe mate Wendy was the name that I came up with. Number 1, is this fair? And number 2, am I wrong?
God, that's hard. No, you're not wrong.
Oh. She's a very nice lady, but she got on people's nerves, and she was bad in the challenges, and I don't think she knew a thing about playing the game Survivor.
Well, she just talked all the time.
Yes.
And I remember being out there the first night, and it was pouring rain, and our shelter broke down 3 times, and she was talking all the time. And, Wendy's a great person, don't get me wrong, but
very nice lady.
In the game of Survivor, you sometimes I don't know how to say it, but I'd have to agree.
Holly, her husband told her, you're going to be the first person put up. If your family doesn't even think you have a shot to go far in the game, this is not a good sign.
That's not a good sign.
If the most supportive people in your life say, yeah, pretty sure you're going to be voted out first. Not a good sign. Okay, good. I'm glad I have your blessing on that.
That would be, if my husband would have said that to me, I'd have been mad. But yeah, that's not a good situation to be in.
No, it's not.
She's lost before she's left. Right?
Yeah. All right. Dan Heaton wants to know, if you were on a season in a tribe filled with returning players like this one, how would you play it? Would you sit back, or would you try to take control? What is a Holly Hoffman doing in a tribe full of returning players?
Well, I'm going to answer this question because, I noticed in this season that some of the returning players are not playing like they did the first time. So if I was to ever make it back, I don't know if I want to reveal how I'm going to play if I go back. So, you may see a change and you may not.
Yeah. Well, I would say the best move here would be to not rock the boat. I think that the right move here, especially when you play in a tribe with 10 people. Now, I played in a tribe with 6 people, And I think I did a bad job by, not trying to take. Well, look, let's be honest. If I would have tried to take the reins, I probably would have been voted out even sooner than I was, and I was the first person voted out of my tribe. But I think if you're not in a tribe with Boston Rob, I think if there's only 6 people, not a bad idea to try to take the reins. But if you're in a tribe with 10 people, I think the Sandra approach is the much better way to go. Just lay back, let somebody else make some mistakes.
Right, and you have to understand is you have to look at who you're playing with as well.
Yeah.
So the first thing you have to do is you have to analyze who you're out there with, how you're going to play this, who the people are, how they played the first time. But of course, I jumped into the game within the first 10 minutes and I had an alliance. So with the answer that I just gave you, you can probably see how I would play it if I was asked to come back.
Yes. All right, So John DeBono wants to know, as someone who benefited from Brenda's alliance with Nyanka, would you align yourself with a loose cannon like Shamar or Brandon or would you try to keep your distance and vote them out when you had the chance? So when you have somebody who's a loose cannon, like a Shamar, like a Brandon, like a Nyanka, better idea to work with them or not work with them?
I don't know if a lot of people know this from my season, but when Nyanka started talking about quitting, I tried to keep her in the game.
Yeah.
I wanted to take Nyanka to the end with me because who was going to vote for Nyanka, right? Mm-hmm. So I would try to work with them because I tried to convince her. I said, hey, you've got to stay in this game. It's better to get voted off than to quit. Of course, she didn't listen to me, but I would try to work with him. That's why I think Sherry made the right move, even though these people, he's getting under everybody's skin, but you have to remember you're only with these people for 39 days.
Yeah.
So it's how you are going to get to the end and who's going to vote for these people if you take them with you.
So what is the right point to start thinking about that? I mean, now we saw Boston Rob very early say, hey, I'm taking Phillip to the end. And it had to have been what, day 6, day 7 when he starts talking about that?
I think it was day 7.
Yeah. So now, But now if you've got Brandon Hance on your tribe and it's day 4, could you really say, hell, man, if I could get next to this guy 35 days from now, I'd be, cash that $1 million check on the way home from the airport?
You have to take one day at a time. I actually, if you're going to play the game and you see that at the beginning, he's probably going to go with you, especially if he's in a situation right now where he doesn't have the numbers and you walk up to him and say, you want to go with us? What do you think he's going to do if he knows what's the right thing to do?
See, I don't think you can do it that early. I think you gotta just worry about getting yourself to the merge. I think at this point, I think there's just more bad things that can go wrong by trying to. Okay, well, let me try to let me see what I can do to try to keep Brandon in the game. And Brandon could end up doing something to get you voted out of the game, and God knows he could turn on you. He could get you voted out by telling everybody, oh, well, let me tell you what Rob was telling me the whole game, and start going crazy.
I did it with Nyanka on day 12.
Okay.
So, and they're on day 5. So, yeah, that's probably a little bit early, but with Sherry pulling Shamar in there, I thought it was the right move.
Yeah.
And you know what? Also, she's basically using him for numbers. And he's the type of person where if she says, okay, it's time for me to go with somebody else and get rid of him, they're all going to be willing to get rid of him.
All right.
So
one last question for you. This comes to us from Alex Photopoulos, and he wants to know, what's worse, Holly, ruining $15,000 shoes or peeing in the rice? Which is the worst thing to do to the tribe?
Well, first of all, they weren't $15,000 shoes. They were $1,600 shoes.
Big difference.
Big difference. So,
still think peeing in the rice is worse.
You can replace the shoes, but in the game of Survivor, you're out there and you don't have food to eat.
Yeah, that's
a downer. But wouldn't that be horrible?
Yeah. Well, okay, and let me add an addendum to this question. Which is worse, stealing all the food and hiding it, or peeing in the food and not hiding it?
Stealing the food.
That's worse?
Then peeing in the food? Oh, no, peeing in the food is worse. Sorry. I would steal the food.
You could find the food.
That's like, I think Brandon's nickname should be the urinator. Don't you think?
That would be good. That'd be good. Now, what happens? I don't know the rules of the game. Brandon, if Brandon relieves himself in the tribe's food, do you have to take him out of the game for that? What's going to happen? Let's real world. Let's really play this out. Going back to some examples of this, I don't know if you're a Big Brother watcher. In Big Brother 2, we had a situation where one of the girls in the house was annoyed with this guy in the house, Hardy. So she took his toothbrush and she cleaned the toilet bowl with her with the guy's toothbrush. Didn't put it back in the thing. Didn't tell anybody and walked away. So now production stepped in and told the guy. I forget if they told her she needed to tell him, but they weren't going to let the guy go ahead and use the toothbrush. Now, if Brandon urinates in the tribe's food or the water or whatever, production has to tell the other people, hey, you can't eat this rice because it's been, you'll get sick, right?
Honestly, do you really think they would say something?
I think they have to. I don't think they'd want to, but I think that legally they can't, they can't willingly let them do something to themselves that could potentially get them sick. I don't think that that's allowed to happen.
I don't know. That's a tough situation to be in because, look at, the water that you drink,
mm-hmm.
the places you go to the bathroom. You're not in a very sanitary situation to begin with.
Okay, so you're saying that. So now, if Brandon does urinate in the rice, but then they boil it, is that okay? Could you?
I don't know.
I don't want to know.
Hard
I don't want to know.
Do you really think he's somebody would be capable? Do you think he's going to do that?
Can't imagine he goes through with it. I think you gotta. I think you have to take him out of the game if that happens. That's the same as punching
going
somebody.
A little too
I think.
far.
Yeah.
That's why I'm telling you. It's like, first of all, he says, he's playing this game for his children, and then all of a sudden he's burning the shelter, like they showed for next week. He's talking about burning things down, and I don't know. That's actually getting to be a little bit dangerous in my eyes.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to go through with it. I can't
don't
imagine.
Either.
Yeah.
I think he's all talk. I don't think he's going to do it.
He's all talk, this Brandon has.
Yeah.
But will every commercial for Survivor the rest of the season be like Brandon's like, next time I'm gonna stab Cochran while he's sleeping. It's like, next time
Cochran.
On Survivor, Cochran is gonna get stabbed by Brandon Hance. But then he's like, you know what? I thought about it, and I'm not going to do it.
See, like I said, I think Brandon is more all talk.
Yeah.
Than he is. He's. I just don't think he would. That's going a little too far.
Yeah. Let's hope so.
I don't know if I was out there with someone like that. Whew.
Yeah.
I sometimes have to. You know how it is. There's times in Survivor where you have to just bite your tongue or walk away, but when you see someone acting like that, what would you do?
Right. What can you do? I've never seen anybody act like that. He's not just being wacky. He's being like, a psychotic.
Yeah, it's scary.
Yeah. So we'll see exactly what happens with this brand. And my last question for you is: do you think that maybe it's time to think about a demotion from middle management to entry level for Brandon Hance?
I would think so.
Yeah, I think so. I think I think he's up for review, and it's time for maybe a demotion.
I would have to agree with you.
Maybe he needs to be an intern of Stealth R Us Inc. before we talk about any middle management position with benefits or anything like that.
Absolutely, I totally agree.
Yeah. All right. So Holly, how do people get their hands on your book?
Actually, I just got my book on Amazon on Monday.
Oh.
So if you go to Amazon and
Holly,
punch in your winner within, it's there.
Say no more. I will set up a link, a direct link. Go to robasawebsite.com/Holly Hoffman, and we'll go directly.
You can also get it through my website.
Yeah.
And that's hollyhoffman.org.
hollyhoffman.org. All right.
Yeah.
And then if you want to read the foreword that Holly wrote for the Specialist, the Costa Rica job. And is that Costa Rica job a position in middle management, Holly?
Oh, I think that's upper management.
Oh, okay.
That's a little bit higher.
That's the job in question. It's a executive level job.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. If you want to get your hands on Philip's book with Holly's forward, go to robasawebsite.com/specialist, and that'll take you right there to the link on Amazon.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah. How do you like that, Holly?
I think that's wonderful.
There you go. All right. So, Holly, thank you so much. This was a lot of fun.
This was a lot of fun. I think the last time we talked was when I did my exit interview when Dan was on the line. So I was honored that you asked me to come and chat again. I love this. I'm really looking forward to watching the rest of this season. I'm loving it so far.
Yes. And we also had fun at the first reality rally.
Yes. Are you going to be back?
I will be back. Yes.
Yes, I'll be there as well.
Okay, good stuff. So we'll see you in April at the big reality rally.
Okay, sounds wonderful.
All right, Holly, all the best to you.
Okay, thank you. See you later.
All right, take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, everybody, there you have it. That was Holly Hoffman here with us on Rob Has a Podcast. And now we should welcome in here. Here she is. She's the first lady of podcasting and an amazing person. Yes, here she is. It's Nicole Cesternino.
Hello.
Nicole, how the hell are you?
Are you drunk?
Why would I be drunk? Do you think have I ever been drinking and podcasting?
Yes.
I don't like to drink and do the podcast. I find that I have too much to do. And I'm sort of all over the place.
Yes, you do get all over
the couple times that I have had a drink during the podcast, I don't enjoy it.
You did get a little loose.
I don't need to be more loose. I need to be taking I need to be like doing like Adderall and stuff during the podcast. Anything that needs to be more alert.
Yes.
Not less alert when I'm doing the podcast. If I was on somebody else's podcast, I'd love to have a drink. But when I'm like running the show,
yeah, too much to do.
Yeah, I mean, forget drinking and driving. You should not be drinking and podcasting.
No, causes accidents.
Causes accidents. That's right. That's right. All right. So Holly Hoffman was really great. Nicole, you missed it.
I'm sorry I missed it.
I'm sure you'll listen in the archives.
I will definitely listen.
Yeah. All right. So I want to talk about something here. We talked about this at first last night on the Survivor Know-It-Alls. Mm-hmm. And Nicole, this is a project that I'm very excited about. This has been almost a year in the making that I've been talking about this with our producing partner, Alex Forstenhausler, on this Reality Game Masters. It's the first Rob Has a Podcast original web series. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can watch the trailer for what we're doing at realitygamemasters.com. So the idea of what we're trying to do here, it's going to be a web series. It's not going to be a live podcast or anything like that. It's going to be about 6 episodes, and we're bringing together 3 of the greatest strategic minds from Survivor.
Wowzer. And
3 of the greatest strategic minds from Big Brother. Mm-hmm. And we're going to put them in. We're going to bring them all to one place.
The worlds collide.
Worlds are colliding, and we're going to duke it out in the game of global domination Risk.
It sounds pretty amazing, and I know that you have been working really, really hard on this.
We've been working very hard, so we're reaching across the aisle to all sorts of different people, and so I'm very excited about this. It should be a lot of fun. We're looking to shoot this in the spring, and we're going to cover it, the way you would cover a TV show. So it's going to look like I'm sure some people think board game. I don't know how interesting is this going to be. It's going to be good.
It is like your 2 worlds colliding. You have your production background where you actually created web series for the internet, and your podcasting reality stuff. Yeah,
well, it's going to be a lot of fun, and we have Alex Forstenhausler is a really great director. He's done a lot of web shows before, so. We're excited about it, and so we have this Kickstarter going. And if you guys don't know what a Kickstarter is, it's a way to crowdsource funding for projects. Mm-hmm. So we started this last night, and I'm just really blown away that basically about 24 hours ago, just a little over 24 hours ago from when I'm recording this podcast. Our goal is we're trying to raise $5,000 for this production. And basically, I'm sure some people are thinking that, this is like, okay, Rob's trying to make money. Really not.
Yeah, it's not like that at all.
Really not. What we're doing here is we're flying people in. We're paying for hotel rooms. We're paying for locations.
And you're paying for production.
Crew, right. Yeah. So this is absolutely, I have full disclosure on this podcast where I'm telling you something that I'm making money on and something that I'm not making money on. This absolutely we are not pocketing any of this money.
So 100% of the contributions go towards
everything is going towards the production. So we were looking to raise $5,000, at the time we're doing this, we're somewhere between 30 to 40% of our goal in 24 hours.
That's pretty fantastic.
Over $1,700 has been contributed so far from people from this community, which is amazing.
But besides seeing the web show, you do get something from contributing.
Yeah, and also, the way Kickstarter works is that if you make a certain donation, there's certain prize levels of like it's not prizes, it's like incentives,
right?
Is what it's called,
and it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So we have a bunch of incentives there. If you want to check it out, realitygamemasters.com. We're going to be announcing the cast one by one. With the one player we announced in the game, our own Stephen Fishback.
Ooh la la!
And I'm not playing in the game. I'm going to be hosting the game and giving commentary throughout the game.
Is Steven going to be giving fishies throughout the game?
Fishy. No, I don't think so. Maybe if he wins, he'll give out a fishy. Okay.
He'll give himself the fishy.
So yeah, and you can check out the trailer we shot at realitygamemasters.com. And now I want to give something back, okay? Because you guys have been giving a lot to help make this production happen. So here's what I'm going to do. So we're asking you guys to donate or contribute to Reality Game Masters if you want it to happen. If you want, and it's also going to be free. When the idea was to ask for contributions up front rather than charge people other than for us to pay for it and then charge you on the other end. We said, okay, let's not charge anybody for it except for the people who really want to see it happen.
Yeah, who also then get incentives. So I think this is a really good idea.
Right. So, but I want to give back because I know also the Reality Rally is coming up. Ooh. And I know we're trying to raise money also for Michelle's Place. So here's what I'm willing to do, Nicole. All right, for the first week of March, coming up, March 1st to March 7th, I'm going to take 100% of the proceeds that come into our Amazon.com money.
Okay.
Our commissions from Amazon.com. And I will give 100% of that money to Michelle's Place for the Reality Rally.
Oh, wow.
So if you shop at robhasawebsite.com/Amazon between March 1st and March 7th, we will take 100% of that money and we will donate it to Michelle's Place. So I'm going to call Jillian tomorrow and tell her.
Make it official.
Make it official, but I'm saying it on the podcast. So I will tell everybody March 1st to March 7th. So that's, my way of giving back to everybody who's contributing to,
and it'll go to a good cause.
This project. We're going to give it to, Michelle's Place. And that's going to kill two birds with one stone in that also and we'll take that money and donate it to the Team Internino's fund. It will put it in their, it'll go in their standings. Then we should be able to then choose a champion for the Rob as a Podcast team in the Reality Rally.
Who is in Team Internino's?
Okay.
Am I jumping ahead?
Yeah, we'll say that. Jessica Frey is the captain now.
Okay.
So that is what I'm willing to do. March 1st to March 7th, go to robhasawebsite.com/Amazon. Any commission that comes in from what you buy, I will give 100% to Michelle's Place.
Yeah.
So, and thank you guys for supporting us on Reality Game Masters. We truly appreciate it. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And basically, the idea with Reality Game Masters is, look, last year between Survivor and Big Brother, we said, okay, let's cover The Bachelorette.
Yeah, and that didn't work.
That was kind of boring. This year, we said, we're going to make our own show.
Yeah.
We're going to make our own show
it
to bridge the gap between Survivor and Big Brother. So,
well, then will we be then podcasting about the show?
Yes. Yes. We'll podcast every week with the person who gets kicked off of Reality Game Masters.
Will there be a Game Masters Know-It-Alls afterwards?
Yes. All right. And then was there anything else that I wanted to get into? No. So let's jump right into. So Nicole, before I get into the all the stuff from social media with everything, and we're gonna listen to our voicemails from you guys. What was your take on the episode?
I thought it was kind of boring.
Oh,
I thought it was kind of boring.
Yes. Oh, Nicole.
Yeah, a bit of a snoozer.
Why?
Yeah.
What? It was
kind of a sea tease. I thought that Brandon was gonna go all, ape crazy.
Yeah.
And he didn't. We got teased on that one.
Yeah.
And although I don't know. I just wasn't impressed.
For the Survivor promo department, though, I think that they're kind of in a weird spot. Like,
but they really hyped it up.
They really hyped it up, and then they sort of mislead what's going to be on the episode, because I think they feel like, okay, well, we'll bring more people in if we advertise Brandon Hance is going to go crazy.
Right.
So more people will watch the show. But if a lot of people tuned in to expecting to see Brandon Hance go crazy this week, and I don't have any, from the people I talk to, people aren't like, oh man, I hope Brandon Hance goes crazy this week. Hope he goes loco. That's what I really want to see. I don't know if you tuned in to watch that, then I can't imagine how you're not disappointed. So does it even make sense to advertise that's what's going to be on the show? If you're going to bring people in who say, hey, I'm not watching this anymore, they're liars.
Well, weren't you like, when we were watching it and he went, he started to go crazy and we're like, that's it? That's it?
Yeah.
Jerks.
All right, so you were unhappy. And then the whole rest of the episode that didn't...
I mean, it was okay. I was just... I thought it was kind of a snoozer.
Okay.
You didn't agree?
Well, going into my third hour of talking about the episode, so obviously
you make it exciting. You create this thing in your head.
Obviously not. No, it was. I thought it was very interesting. With
Shamar, that's his name, right?
Shamar.
He went crazy, so I guess that made up for Brandon Hance.
Okay. All right. So, what do you want to do first? You want to do voicemails? You want to do social media? You want to do voicemails?
Sure, let's do some voicemails.
Okay, let's take some voicemails. And, of course, the voicemails come from you guys, the audience. There's one of two ways to send us voicemail. You can, you can send us a voicemail via our Rob as a Podcast voicemail inbox by phone. Mm-hmm. And you can do that at the number 323-282-RHAP. 323-282-RHAP. Or you can go directly, and I found this out today from our friends, SpeakPipe. Mm-hmm. You can leave us voicemail directly from your computer. Go to robaswebsite.com/voicemail, and that will also work from your smartphone or from your iPad also. Oh. Okay?
Did you get any dirty messages this time?
No, I have not. No, I have not. Okay? Yes. I'm sure you won't be happy until I get a dirty message.
Yes, exactly.
And then what if it's from a girl? Then you're going to be pissed.
No, I won't. I'll laugh.
You'll laugh? Okay. That's if I play it for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? All right, you ready for the
voice? Don't be sneaky.
All right. Look, Nicole, you're making this mess. Mm. Okay, here we go. So this is our first voicemail. This comes to us from Antonio, and he wants to know about a potential tribe swap. Here we go. Okay. Antonio.
Hey, Rob, this is Antonio Arguedas. I'm a big fan of yours, and I'm so happy that Nicole is back with us this season. You. My question is, when the tribe swap happens, because we know it's going to inevitably happen, who do you think will be most affected, and who do you think will be most benefited by that? Do you think there's people who are in trouble in both tribes, and they can totally switch the game? So, yep, thanks for everything you do.
Okay.
Oh, thank you, Antonio.
Yes, thank you, Antonio. All right, so, Nicole, who is going to be most affected by a tribe swap? Well, I think that the key to this is who's in a good position now and who's in a bad position now.
What are the numbers?
Okay, so just off the top of my head, a few people that could benefit right now from a tribe swap. I talked about it with Holly, Brenda. Brenda could certainly benefit from a tribe swap. Yes. Eric Reichenbach, tribe swap would be huge for him right now. Mm-hmm. Brandon Hance, he's too far gone.
I think that he's just too crazy for any tribe.
Tribe swap, tribe swap can't save him. On the fans tribe, Eddie and Reynolds both could use a tribe swap right now.
Will Brandon Hance pee in the rice in the tribe swap?
Yeah, that would. Well, if Brandon Hance somehow pees in the rice and then gets swapped to the other tribe, that would be an ideal scenario for him. That's
then he doesn't have to eat the rice.
That's ideal rice urinating strategy there. Yes. So kudos to Brandon. People who I think would be hurt negatively by a tribe swap right now. Number one, Philip.
Absolutely. That was my number one.
He's got all his ducks in a row. He's got, all right, this is the intelligentsia attaché. This is the executor. This is Bigfoot. This is, okay, he's got all these people. As Stealth R Us Inc., if there's some sort of what would you call that? I don't even know. There's some sort of company, company-wide transfer. Then that could be big problems for Phillip. And
if
I think,
mix up the middle management.
Yes. Also, I think on the fans tribe, I think Sherry could be in a bad spot if they mix up the tribes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, for the people on the bottom, tribe swap helps.
Yeah. For
the people at the top, for the people, the Boston Robs of the world,
not so good.
It's not so good.
Yeah.
And so Boston, look for on a season like Redemption Island, if they would have had a tribe swap, I don't think Boston Rob gets to the end.
Probably not.
Probably not. Okay. Look at Survivor Marquesas. Boston Rob had everything the way he wanted it. Tribe swap. Then
boom, gone.
Yeah. So if you are somebody who's in control of things, you don't want a tribe swap. If you're somebody like Rob Cesternino who likes to work on the fringes and sort of be sort of like not the main guy in charge, but sort of like work things out, then that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
You like a tribe swap.
Yes.
And it helped me in the Amazon.
Yes, it did.
Okay. So I'm hoping for a tribe swap this season. And there was one on the original Fans versus Favorites.
When do you think it's going to happen?
Well, they didn't tease it for next week, so it looks like it's not going to. I think we should maybe be looking for it in 2 weeks, maybe episode 4.
I hope it doesn't happen for a while. I hope that we keep the fans and the favorites just exactly where they are.
Okay. I like to see it.
Yeah.
I like to shake things up.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So here's our next question, our next comment, actually. And this comes from a person who did not leave their name. So all I can tell you is that
Anonymous.
This person is somebody in Miami, Florida.
Ooh.
Okay, and make sure you give us your name when you leave us a voicemail.
Well, what if anonymous?
Hey guys, just wanted to say that on the recent know-it-alls, you guys were talking about how Dawn's nickname didn't maybe fit, but maybe you're just not giving Phillip enough credit.
Oh.
Because if I was trying to take Dawn and give her a little bit of resolve and tell her to be strong on our team and be prepared to backstab and do all the things that we want her to be able to do as part of our alliance and not break down into tears every 5 minutes, I think true grit might be a great way to let her know, this is who you are now. This is who you want to be if you want to win and be in our alliance. So anyways, just thought that was worth thinking about. Bye.
All right. So this is actually a pretty good call.
That was a little weird.
And so I talked about it with Holly as well. We talked about it with Steven last night, that Dawn's nickname of True Grit really does not make a lot of sense.
It doesn't.
And we said, okay, shouldn't she be the baker? Shouldn't she be Steven said the weeper.
Oh, she cried one time on this episode.
Yes. Well, that was enough for Steven.
And other people too.
Yeah. So should that be Dawn's nickname, or should you give her a nickname like True Grit? So, we go back to with Coach and Cochran back in South Pacific. Do you remember Cochran's nickname that Coach gave him on South Pacific?
I don't remember.
It was Hercules. Which was, again, that's like calling the, 7-foot guy tiny.
Uh-huh.
It's against type, and I wonder if Phillip is sort of like hey, Dawn, you're True Grit.
It's strategic.
Yeah. So I'll give credit to the CEO on that one. If that's what he's doing, then that's smart. I don't know if that's necessarily what he was doing.
Don't you think it was weird the way that he was working the cameraman when he was giving the names of
yeah, a lot of people talked about that. I guess Phillip broke the fourth wall to talk about.
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah. So
it was like kind of somewhat like uncomfortable too.
Yeah, you didn't like that sketch?
It was weird.
That part of the show? I didn't mind it. I liked it.
I just thought it was weird because you don't do that.
They typically don't do that, but I mean, I don't think it's the first time that we've ever seen people talking to the camera like, they're talking to the viewers at home. Mm-hmm. I mean, famously, Boston Rob talked about, hey, Grant, when you're watching this at home, you're going to know.
Right, but not with like the entire cast right there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess not. I mean, when we did the sketch of the fake tribal council on Survivor All-Stars, I mean, that wasn't like to each other. I mean, that was kind of like. But
that was that a secret scene, or was that?
It was on the outtakes episode.
Right. They didn't air it.
Yeah. I didn't have a problem with it.
Yeah. No, I didn't have a problem with it. I just thought it was weird.
Yeah. All right. Here's a question. This comes to us from Lisa Peoples. Ready? Here we go. Lisa Peoples.
Hey, Rob. It's Lisa Peoples. And I had a question about, lately you guys have been talking about some of the Survivor contestants and who they have put about their Survivor players they're most like. So my question is, back when you played Amazon, who would have been the players before you that you would have put as players you were most like? And if you were going to play Survivor for the first time now, who would your survivors you were the most like be? And that's it. Thanks. Bye.
All right.
That's a good question.
That is a good
Lisa
question.
Peoples, one of my Pretty Fit Chick superstars.
Superstars.
Yeah.
There you go. So who would I have put down if they would have asked me ahead of time, who are you most like? Now, this is a tough question because I don't know who I necessarily would have put down, who was the most like myself beforehand. I might have been tempted to say Boston Rob, but I'm not like Boston Rob at all. The thing that the two people that really were my big influences going into Dr. Will from Big Brother 2, and then Lisa.
I'm sorry, Danielle.
Danielle, yes, yes, Danielle from Big Brother also. But what I loved about Boston Rob was that I loved the way that he talked to the camera. I felt like nobody on Survivor had been that way with the camera and been like, hey, let me tell you something. Like, you know. So I love that about Boston Rob. Right. So he was probably my favorite Survivor. But I was nothing like him, so I wouldn't have said I would play the game like him.
But who would you say then?
Mitchell Olsen, probably.
Why?
I didn't really think I was going to go that far. I said, okay, well, I'll just get invited to I'll just be, I'm the guy who knows all about the show. And so, Mitchell Olsen, basically, he was like the super fan from the first season. They put him on the second season. And by day 12, he said, hey, look, I'm physically, mentally, and emotionally exhausted. Just vote me out.
I think you are the first person to say that you're like Mitchell Olsen.
The other person, Jeff Varner.
Yes,
I think that's probably the closest person before me.
Okay, if you were going to go on now, what would you say?
If I was going to go on now, if I was in this parallel universe where I did not go on Survivor ever,
right?
I wonder would I still watch Survivor 26 seasons in? I don't know.
You would.
Maybe I would.
You're still watching Big Brother.
So I still watch Big Brother. That's true. I still watch Big Brother. So anyway, if I would watch Survivor 26 seasons in, I think maybe I thought about this earlier. I don't know. Again, would I still like if I was the same person who really loved Boston Rob through season 4? Would I still say Boston Rob? I don't know. I certainly would not say that I play like him. Todd, I feel like would be a good one. Although I feel like Todd.
Would you say you play like Cochran?
That's the thing. But does Cochran get cast and put on the show?
He has no inspiration because you're not there.
So we really screw everything up.
Yeah.
It's a real, it's like an episode of Lost. Yeah. We have to see whatever happened. So I think I would say Todd. Yeah. I always say Suri is somebody that I played like. So maybe I'd say I'm like Todd and Suri.
If Todd and Suri had a baby.
Todd and Suri had a baby. Good grief. And Mitchell Olsen.
Awkward.
Yeah. All right, here we go. So here's the question from Brian from Indy. That's Rupert territory.
Hey, Rob. This is Brian Bosman from Indy calling. I just wanted to say what a great second episode of Survivor. Really loved the way the season's starting out. Have to say I was openly cheering for the favorites because I really don't have much interest in any of these fans. Yeah. I had 2 quick questions for you from the show, a little bit off topic, but I think there's some pretty interesting questions. First, after seeing Cochran shoot his confessional on his Little Mermaid rock chair, I just...
But that's my favorite part about this voicemail. That he says Cochran's
that is
confessional.
The Little Mermaid rock chair.
Was on the Little Mermaid rock chair. That's my favorite. Good job on that, Brian from Indy. All right, continue.
Wondering if the survivors or the cameramen choose the spots for the confessionals. When you were shooting yours, did you pick out the spot, or did they lead you to a place where you shoot those? My second question was, how many times do survivors, maybe purely out of boredom, try to create camera-grabbing situations like the Specialist nickname roll call from this past episode? Just was wondering about a little insider stuff there and hoping you can check me out. Thanks for all the great podcasts. Keep up the great work. Bye.
All right.
You know what? He said something interesting that that he thought that the episode was really good. And I think that the reason why I thought that this episode was a snoozer was because they paid so much attention to the fans, and I really want to see more of the favorites.
Yeah. Okay.
And they didn't pay a lot of attention to the favorites.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Sorry, Nicole. Anyway, so going back to Brian's first part of the question, he wants to know who picks where you sit when you do your interviews. And there are highly trained camera people and directors that work on the show. It's not like, because if you left it up to the survivors, like, okay, here's good.
No, I think that Cochran really does sit there all day long in his Little Mermaid chair.
I guarantee you some.
And he sings.
Yeah. I mean, maybe Cochran might have said, what does he sing?
I'm not going to sing it.
Yeah. I get, maybe Cochran said, hey, can I sit over there? Can I get over there?
Can you call me Ariel too, please?
Can you call No, that's not what Jeff Probst would call the Little Mermaid. He's going to call her by her last name.
Yes.
Okay. So the contestants do not pick where they sit for a confessional. So while maybe that was a very funny place for Cochran to be sitting, I'm sure that the camera people set that up. They pick out the foreground, background, and all that stuff. And then as far as what Phillip was doing, is that just a result of boredom? Yeah. I mean, if you're bored enough, especially with veteran players who know what you can do and what you can get away with on the show, yeah, they definitely will do stuff like, okay, get this, come here. All right, let me tell you everybody's nickname now. Okay, like the fans are not as likely to be pulling. Like Reynolds not gonna be like, all right, come here. I'm gonna do a sketch. Okay, I'm gonna be pretending to go down an escalator behind the tribe. Okay, come get this.
Stupid.
Yeah. So everybody knows that part of being getting to be a favorite is being a camera hog in the first place.
Right. They know how to work the camera.
They know how to work the camera.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, that if you're bored enough, like we talked about on the Survivor Amazon reunion, I think there was one day we did a fake wedding where we did a ceremony where I married Heidi and Alex in a ceremony. So you guys
played Family Feud and stuff.
Yeah, but that's part of what you get. Part of the fun of unusable footage you get when you invite Rob Cesternino on Survivor.
Yes, I was talking to Parvati about this the other day. She was like, it's so boring. It's like, well, that's why Rob loved it, because when there was nothing to do, that you guys were playing games.
Here's the thing, everybody. I have no friends, okay? You guys are my friends, but because you guys are my friends, because nobody else will talk to me.
Oh, that's not true.
That's true.
That's not true.
That's true. I have no other friends.
Stop that. Don't talk about my husband.
And when I went on Survivor, it was perfect because, one, I didn't have to go anywhere, and there were people that couldn't. They had to hang out with me. They couldn't. All they could do was vote me out. Mm-hmm. That's all they could do. But they just had to hang out with me all day.
Yeah.
That's it. They had nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
So
and you entertained them.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And I have one last question. This is about a recent interview that Jeff Probst did. Here we go. His voicemail number 5.
Hey, Rob, what's going on? Love the show. I'm subscribed on all of my devices. I just wanted to ask you about, I don't know if you heard this, but Jeff Probst did an interview with Chuck Klosterman on the Grantland podcast, which is part of the Bill Simmons network. Anyway, so Jeff was talking about certain players that he felt like had a low IQ, and I wanted to know if you had any thoughts on that. Anyway, love the show. Keep up the good work. And I don't care what Nicole says. Keep those Venn diagrams coming. Those are very clever. All right,
how dare you?
Me. I'm out. Bye.
All right. That's a great question. Now, I did listen to this interview.
Yes, that is your favorite author.
Yes, of Chuck Klosterman. Great voicemail, by the way. Okay, so I did listen to this interview. I started getting tweets about this, I guess, on Tuesday afternoon. So Chuck Klosterman, who is amazing. I love all of his stuff. Sex, Drugs, and Cocoa Puffs is great. I read the Invisible Man over the summer. He's one of my favorite authors, and he's always great on the Bill Simmons podcast. So on Grantland, which is a part of the a different division of Bill Simmons podcasting.
Why is it called Grantland?
It's a long story.
Okay.
So Chuck Klosterman interviewed Jeff Probst. And Jeff Probst was talking about how one of the things they do, Chuck Klosterman, I think, pretty much asked him, but what is the having people with high IQ? Like basically, they asked him a whole thing about the intelligence of the contestants. Mm-hmm. Okay, and here's what Jeff Probst. I pulled the clip.
Okay,
here's Jeff Probst talking about low IQ Survivor contestants. Okay, you ready?
Ready.
And in fact, a couple of seasons ago, we had 2 people on with IQs that were very low. And I wrote our casting director from location and said, no more dumb people. Dumb meaning truly unfit mentally or intellectually to play the game because they were so out of the game that they actually screwed it up for everybody else, and not in a good way. It's like you need to know how to throw a ball if you're going to play a game involving a ball. And so you need to be able to think with numbers and a little bit of strategy, or you're going to make this game so much about chance. And so, yeah.
How did those people get cast then? What there had to be a recognition that if it was so clear, like, yeah.
Well, we've always balanced it, but we happen to have just a coincidence. We had 2. I'm pretty sure it was 2 people that were very low, and in watching how it played, I saw the impact, we all did, of somebody who didn't know, move your rook, move your pawn, come on, move something. And so they got cast because they brought something to the show. They definitely brought different qualities, but when you actually tested it and realized, okay, there is a limit on the IQ, you've got to have somewhere in the lower average IQ. These were very low, unfortunately low for them. Life will be harder for them because it's so low.
All right, so
that's a bit harsh,
Nicole. All right, so I guess the question is that people are wondering, who are these not 1 but 2 survivors who have an IQ that's not well below average, who screwed things up in a bad way and ruined the game. I've got a few theories.
What do you think?
Well, here's the thing. So now we have to sort of get inside Jeff's head.
Right.
Okay. So we have to think of what are these. Okay, I don't know how far back we want to go. He said a couple seasons ago.
Yeah, it didn't sound too long, like a long time ago.
Yeah. So I'm imagining in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and I think back to what are the seasons that we had people with an outcome that Jeff didn't like. Okay, so we can cross off Survivor Redemption Island.
Cross that right off the list.
Because there's no way with Boston Rob winning the game that Jeff would say that the game got screwed up in a bad way.
Okay, a bad outcome.
So
no way.
We'll rule that out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that sort of leaves us going to, we have Survivor One World.
Should it be when a chick wins? Is that a bad outcome?
Survivor Redemption Island. Although in Survivor Redemption Island, I can't think of the 2 people here. I mean, could you have Edna and Rick? I can't imagine Jeff thinks Edna is a low IQ.
She's a doctor.
They brought back Brandon Hance, so you gotta kind of rule him out.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm not thinking it's Survivor South Pacific.
Uh-huh.
And then we have Survivor Nicaragua. That's possible. That's possible here. Now, one of the more obvious ones, you say maybe Purple Kelly and Nyanka, but Jeff's talking a lot about strategy here.
Yeah, I don't think their IQ is that low.
Yeah, he's saying
that low.
He's not saying like, look, you got people that don't know, hey, I'm 5 days away from winning $1 million, so I'm smart enough to know I can just stick it out for 5 more days and get there. So I don't think it's Nicaragua.
I don't think so.
I don't think it's a heroes versus villains thing.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
And I guess maybe we could go through Samoa and go through there and try to figure out who screwed up Russell Hance from winning the game, but I don't think so.
I don't think that's what he's talking about.
I don't think that's what he's talking about. And who knows, maybe I don't think from Tocantins, maybe Gabon, and now we're going back
I think that's too far back.
We'll go back too far. So let's go back to the Survivor One World.
Yeah.
Now, Jeff did not seem to be too into. Jeff admittedly has said Survivor One World not a great season.
Yeah.
And the thing that jumps out to me, okay, we're looking for 2 people here, and I've seen a lot of names thrown around. A lot of people have said, okay, what is he talking about? Leaf? And again, I'm not getting into
whether we're not going to pinpoint any names.
I haven't seen anybody's IQ test.
Right.
Okay. I'm just throwing names out there. I mean, could we talk about Jay Byers here?
Well, if we're going to talk about Jay Byers, well, let's not talk about his IQ.
Okay. I don't know. But here's what I go back to. What could have happened where Jeff thinks the game got ruined?
A chick won.
Well, no. Well, okay. Let's not go there. Let's not go there either.
Yes.
But I go back to when Troyzan got voted out.
Yes.
Okay? Final 8. Okay? And you had to know Jeff loves a Troyzan.
Of course.
He loves a Troyzan, and not just that.
Who doesn't?
Well, who doesn't? It's his island. But you got to think that for the narrative that Jeff is seeing in his head wants to see Troyzan and Kim duke it out to the end. Okay? But instead, we have Troyzan here at the final 8. Okay? And so we have, it ends up being that Kim, Chelsea, Alicia, and Kat all vote for Troyzan. I got 4 votes for Troyzan. And then we have Sabrina and Troyzan both vote for Christina. And Christina and Christina votes for 3 votes for Christina. 3 votes came in for Christina, and Christina voted for Chelsea. So did Chris, I mean, and now if Cha-Cha votes for she can't vote, obviously she can't vote for herself. So maybe it was a mistake to vote for her. But I think there's some combination in there. Whether is Jeff talking about Kat and Alicia? Is he talking about Christine and somebody else? Now, Christine, I know Christina a little bit in real life.
She's not dumb.
She's not. I can't imagine she's a low IQ person.
She's not dumb. It's not Christina.
And here's the thing. It seems to me like I watched the Survivor One World reunion show recently before I did my Miss Survivor interview with Chelsea. It seemed like Jeff likes Kat, so I don't think he's talking about Kat. I really don't know. That I'm just throwing theories out here.
Yeah.
Could it be Jay Byers and Leaf, where early, Jay Byers went back and told Kim about that Troyzan had the idol, and that screwed things up? So I think we're on to something. I think Jeff blames somebody for this men alliance really just getting totally ripped to shred by Kim, and I think that's I think it's in here somewhere. Is he thinking? Is it Tarzan? Is that who he's talking about?
Tarzan's a doctor.
He's a doctor.
He can't possibly have a low IQ.
I mean, is it Michael and Jonas? I mean, I think there's something.
Not my Jonas.
Somebody's in there somewhere. I mean, is it even beforehand when the men sent themselves to tribal council? Is it Bill Posley somewhere in there?
Maybe.
I don't know. But I think it's Survivor One World, and I'll leave it up to you guys. Tell me in the comment section what you think.
It's not Jay Byers.
Okay, Jay Byers did put together a 3D puzzle. I was told.
Put together the best set of abs I've ever seen.
Take it easy. All right.
Just saying.
Here we go, Nicole. So, and now, in addition to a voicemail, for the first time ever, I actually got an infographic.
Really? I love infographics.
You do? Okay.
I love pictures.
Okay, so we got a picture. This comes to us from Mikey in West Hollywood, and he uploaded this to me on Facebook. Okay, and so basically, the infographic is a calendar which shows the filming dates of Survivor Caramoan and the days leading up to Big Brother 14 this summer.
Ooh.
And so what he wants to know is highlighting the days that overlap, the pre-production of Big Brother 14 and the filming of Survivor Caramoan. Did Brandon Hance's performance on Survivor Caramoan, taking place at the same time as the finals of casting for Survivor 2012, have any influence on or impact of CBS casting Willie Hance on Big Brother? It was the same exact time. So somewhere, was there an executive at CBS like, this Brandon Hance is gold. We need more Hances. We want a Hance, and we want a chicken in every pot and a Hance on every show.
Probably.
He's peeing in the rice.
Yeah.
Get me more Hances.
That's disgusting.
Yes. So, are you buying that, Nicole? Was it a coincidence that the producers of Survivor are thinking we want more Hance, and the producers of Big Brother are saying we want more Hance, or was it a cause and effect of Brandon? Oh, he's killing it out there. He's a Snebra.
I don't think anything with the Hanses are a matter of coincidence.
Okay, so you think that the producers, either people at CBS or the producers of Big Brother said, "Hey, I hear Brandon Hans is killing it out there on Survivor.
I think something like that happened.
He's going loco. He's in every commercial. Give us our own Hans."
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that didn't work out too good on Big Brother.
It did not.
Yeah.
But it's only episode 2 of Survivor, so we'll see how that works out.
Yeah. Well, Willie Hans was good. I liked Willie Hans.
We liked Willie.
I liked Willie Hans. If he can only not headbutt people. Okay. All right. So let's dabble into some Survivor social media.
I love to dabble.
We did a great segment last week where we talked about what was going on with all of these survivors fighting on Twitter.
Yeah, it was a little quiet this week.
It was quiet this week. I don't know if people know now we're watching.
Our eyes are on you.
Yeah, we got eyes on you, everybody. If stuff happens, if people are fighting, we're gonna catch it.
Yeah.
So not a lot of fights going on this week.
I think a lot of people, not a lot of people. I think Eliza caught a lot of slack for what she was saying on Twitter.
Okay.
The fans didn't like it.
People. There were a lot of Andrea backers out there. Mm-hmm. Okay. So let's get into here's some of what was going on Twitter. Got a few tweets here from the survivors themselves. Okay, let's start with Laura Alexander. She's at Laura Ashley Alex. 3 first. Never trust a tweeter with 3 first names.
Oh, it's really bad when there's 2 first names, let alone 3.
Yes. She tweets last night. I always notice a bulge. #Survivor. Yes.
Oh. Me too, sister.
Yes. Okay, and then she also she attached a picture of a pizza and tweeted, "My date for the night. Is this why I didn't make the cool kids table?"
Oh,
very sad.
I like her.
Looking at everybody's bulges and eating pizza.
My kind of girl.
All right. This is from another one of the survivors, Julia Landauer, at Julia Landauer. She tweets, "Woohoo! Made it through Tribal. My biggest contribution on this episode? Putting my vote in the urn. # thanks production."
Oh.
Yeah.
At least it's something.
Yeah, at least it's something. And a great job by Brendan Noel and the Rob as a Podcast interns keeping track of all the tweets of everybody, of all the survivors. And there's a lot to get to.
Yeah.
Let's see. Malcolm tweeted, at Malcolm WHW. He tweets, "Tonight, I'm going to a bar where I get to keep my boxers on and not have a short TV host yell at me. Neither is likely on tonight's Survivor." Oh, boy. The height joke.
Yes, and his boxers joke.
Yes.
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 I was a little sad they didn't fall down again.
Okay. Keep it together. Keep it together.
Just saying.
All right. At Reynold Topfer, he tweets, "We'll be watching Survivor tonight from the Cool Kids table. A miniature table with my wife and our son Jacob and his watercolors."
Yeah, I think that he wanted to make sure everybody knew that he was married and not snuggling up with Allie.
Okay, I talked to Allie this morning. She said that it was just platonic. They're just friends. So that means that if I ever go on Survivor again, then that kind of stuff is okay.
Okay, and while you're on Survivor, I'm going to need to keep warm too.
Take it easy. Take it easy. All right. Ali Pohovitz, she tweeted, she's very upset, Nicole. She tweeted, "I'll just go cry in the corner for the next month. Thank you all. # mortified. # still hates Shamar."
Oh.
I almost said Semhar.
Oh, don't say Semhar. I like Semhar.
No. Shamar and Semhar sound alike.
They do sound alike.
They do sound alike. And I bet they would be a pretty dynamic duo if they were on the same tribe.
I think Semhar would totally put him in his place.
Maybe.
And then read him a poem.
Yes. and then mesmerize him but not hypnotize him? Is that what he would do?
I think that's what it's something like that.
Something like that. All right.
Yes.
So Brandon Hance, he took to Twitter last night. He tweeted at the real little Hance.
So he's tweeting himself.
That's his name on Twitter.
Okay. Oh, I thought he was tweeting himself.
And he tweets, "This episode is dedicated to my Uncle Russell. You taught me well, Unc. # all caps. Blood is thicker than water. # Hance."
# I did not have sex with my uncle.
Well, they did not. I have to say, I think I liked it better when Brandon and Russell
were fighting.
Don't get along on Twitter.
Yeah.
I think I like that better.
Yeah. I can't keep up. They fight. They love each other. They fight. They love each other. Pick a side.
Pick a side. All right, here we go. So let's get to the good ones. All right. Here we go. Eliza on Twitter.
Uh-oh.
All right. Eliza's pretty much my number one survivor going right now. Love Eliza.
Absolutely.
I think I wish Eliza had more social media profiles. She's killing it right now. She's killing it.
Yes, she is.
She could be up for Survivor Tweeter of the Year.
Ooh, very prestigious.
Okay. So she tweets last night, This fan tribe is almost as much of a train wreck as Dawn after Tribal Council. #Survivor.
Oh, why is everybody beating up on Dawn?
Well,
I don't like
Eliza
that.
really went after Dawn.
Is Dawn the first person that cried on Survivor?
Yes. All right. So Eliza, of course, writes a blog about Survivor on Reality Nation. She went after Dawn this week. Okay.
Yeah.
So here, I printed this out. Let's see. Okay, so she talked about, then we see Dawn bawling and saying it became too pointed and personal for her. Really, Dawn? You did this, and you brought this upon yourself. I have zero sympathy for this grown woman. Dawn is crying again. This is so old. I would rather see Holly instead of her. This crying shtick is so overplayed. She claims she would never be mean to someone. Really, Dawn? Really? Dawn is a train wreck.
Dawn is not a train wreck. Just because she voted Francesca out doesn't make her a bad person.
Yeah, that's what I don't make up the news, Nicole.
Yeah,
I just report it.
Dawn is one of the nicest people. I don't know how anybody could say anything bad about her.
Yeah. Well, that now you know.
I guess so.
Now you know. And Eliza also tweeted, wow, these fans, parentheses, read recruits, are idiots. #typical. #survivor.
Okay, well, she's got it there. She got it right there.
Okay, here's a good one. Rupert, who lately has been on fire. More. Rupert has a couple good tweets here.
He every now and then he does come up with a good one.
He does. So Rupert, at Rupert Bonham, he tweeted during the episode, lesson learned. No running through the woods yelling, who voted for me? Let's see, another one from Rupert. I can't do the Rupert. I'm gonna hurt my throat. I can't believe he found the idol so easily. Good for him. I stuck my hand in more holes looking for it. Whoa.
I bet you did.
All right, and last one. This is my favorite. My favorite.
And he doesn't
tweet
mean trees.
Got it. All right. My favorite tweet from Rupert is Brandon's ear stick looks like a redneck Bluetooth.
Whoa, Rupert.
Very good, Rupert.
That was good.
That was funny.
Yeah.
And then I have about 12 tweets from Survivor Shannon that I can't read. Sorry.
Inappropriate.
Can't read it. All right.
Inappropriate.
Okay. So sorry about that, everybody. All right. So a lot of people had some feedback that came in on the last show. I named my pick for the worst Survivor of all time.
Right.
So I named my pick. A lot of people disagreed with me.
Who did they say?
A lot of people disagree with me. This is from Christian Zaccardo, and this came to us on our Google Plus page. Mm-hmm. And if you want to join our Google Plus community, you can go to robisawebsite.com/G+. Spell it out, Plus, G+. It says, have to disagree with your choice of worst player. It's obviously Francesca because she couldn't outwit anyone, couldn't outplay anyone, and couldn't outlast anyone, and didn't have the social graces to get enough people to align with her twice. Great 2-hour podcast. First off, Christian Zaccardo.
That's a good point.
Do you realize that Eliza could be listening right now? Are you crazy?
You're going to be in her next blog.
Are you crazy? So I said I don't agree. I don't think Francesca is the worst. She's good in challenges.
I think that he had some good points.
If she's good at any one of the things, I think I don't even think that Francesca is that bad. She's unlucky.
She's very unlucky.
She's unlucky to be on the tribe that loses the first immunity challenge twice. If we're just saying it's a 50-50 shot either way, it's only a 25% chance that could even happen to you.
Yeah.
So so chances are if you went on 2 survivors, you wouldn't even lose the first immunity challenge twice.
Yeah.
Chances are.
Sad story.
It is a sad story. and then I just think Francesca's very unlucky. They keep putting her on seasons with Phillip. She's good in the challenges. I think she seems like a nice enough person.
People really like her.
She has a good attitude.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think she's the worst.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We're not results oriented. We're gonna look. We're digging deeper.
Yes.
All right. So
we rely on Venn diagrams.
Yes, that's right. So Shayna Davis has a different suggestion.
Okay.
Okay. So Shayna says, I liked Rob's analogy of the worst Survivor player ever, but I believe Lisi from Fiji is the worst player ever. She didn't even try at the challenges. She was rude. She didn't even seem to have respect for the game at all. Then she quits the game after spending a majority of the game living in a luxurious camp. All right, Nicole. So is it possible that Lisi is the worst player of all time?
No, because she has the best song of all time.
Hit it. Okay. So I have a special place for Lisi. Okay.
It's my favorite song.
And this is an original song from Lisi.
Tidy whities, little boy, tidy whities. Tidy whities, little boy, tidy whities. Tidy whities, little boy, tidy whities.
But you need the video to go along with this.
Now, okay, I can only play up to 34 seconds of this, and then it no longer is a family podcast. Okay. All right. First off, big tip of the cap to everybody at the Facebook group previously on Survivor for introducing me to that.
Best song ever.
That is from Lisi Linares from Survivor Fiji. This is one of her original music videos. Makes me very sad. This video only has 2,702 views at the recording of this. Makes me very sad. Now I know about 2,600 of them are from me.
Yes.
I love this video. It's very not safe for work. So do not look at this video.
Yeah, you don't want your coworkers to see you watching this.
Obviously, Lisi cannot be the worst player of all time if she made the music video to Tidy Whities.
It's impossible. It is absolutely impossible.
Tidy Whities. Not safe for work, and parental discretion is strongly advised.
Yes,
and that's all. That's as much of it as I can play.
But do yourself a favor and watch it.
We love it. I can't get enough of it. This should be the theme song to Robin's podcast.
I'm gonna put this on my voicemail.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Tidy Whities. Tidy Whities.
I wish we could get Lisi to re-record a version for Philip. Yeah, like tidy pinkies.
Tidy panties.
Tidy whities, little boy.
Yeah. All right. So maybe if somebody can get a hold of Lisi, maybe we can get her to record an original or play in concert.
You should do your own version of the video.
Of the video. All right. So go to YouTube and search Tidy Whities Lisi.
But is it
if you want to see what we're talking about? She created the
song in response to fans coming up to her.
Yeah. I don't even want to get into the urban legend of we can address this more at another time.
I want to interview her.
If more people, yes, that should be a goal of the show.
Yes.
All right. So here's a comment that came to us from from Survivor Know-It-Alls. This comes to us from. I'm just laughing at the commenter's name. It's from Russell Hance's Butler. Russell Hance's Butler says, "Are the BR rules are Philip's BR rules a ripoff of What Would Boston Rob Do?" Now, in fairness, we did do a little What Would Boston Rob Do? I believe during Survivor One World.
I think so.
Or it might have been. It was either during Survivor One World, or it was either actually during Survivor South Pacific.
I think it was.
It was one or the other.
Why are you asking me?
I feel like it started, I first wrote that on the blog on CBS.com during one of those seasons. And I know we talked about it on the show, but it's a little different.
Yeah.
A little different.
Not really. Not really.
Hey, it's not different. You stole it from me. All right. And then one last question. This comes to us from Los Pollos Hermanos. Said, this podcast is so good when Nicole is on for so long.
Thank you.
Keep her coming, Rob. I'll try. I try my best, Los Pollos, but it's easier said than done. Mm-hmm. Easier said than done each week. And I think that is...
I don't think he meant the podcast.
Yes, all right. Okay. You don't have to explain it every time, Nicole. You could just let it.
I have to explain it to myself.
Okay. All right. So that's gonna do it for another Survivor podcast. But the fun doesn't stop there, everybody, because every day on robhasawebsite.com we have right now we have 4 or 5 Survivor bloggers right now just hammering away at this season.
You're like a slave driver. You don't let them sleep. You don't feed them.
I'm sure.
You don't give them water.
I know that you have to separate yourself from this, but for everybody else in the world besides you, I'm not responsible for getting them things to eat and drink. Everybody else in the world somehow is able to do these 2 things without my assistance.
Well, that sucks for them.
Yes. So they actually are responsible for their own food and drink.
Yeah, I'm thirsty, by the way.
So our Survivor bloggers, every day we've got a new blog up, Survivor, Amazing Race. Really, we're killing it right now.
Yeah.
Really great. And the blogs are really, really great.
Mm-hmm. They are really good. Everybody works so hard.
Everybody works very hard, and everybody takes it very seriously. So check out the blog section on robhasawebsite.com. Okay? So, and then we got a big weekend coming up. I'm going to do our Amazing Race podcast with real live Amazing Racers, Nicole.
Ooh, who you getting?
Ryan and Abby from last season of The Amazing Race. They're going to join us on Sunday night, and I'm going to talk to them live after the Oscars are over.
Okay, yes.
Okay,
I need to watch the Oscars.
Yes, because I know you have very seriously, you've taken the movies this year.
Why gotta be a douche?
Yes. Yes, you've seen so many of the Oscar-nominated films.
Okay.
Yes. So that's going to be on Sunday night, and maybe, just maybe, there could be working on some other surprises, including perhaps a Canadian Big Brother preview.
Ooh, la, la.
Right.
Are we going to be able to watch Canadian Big Brother?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's going to be lots of good stuff coming up this weekend.
Okay. So who is the guest on next week's podcast, or is that like a surprise?
We're working on it.
Okay.
It is not locked in yet.
Okay.
Okay. So I am in negotiations with the next guest of the podcast. Okay. So all that is very good. And then don't forget, from starting March 1st to March 7th, if you use our links for Amazon.com, I will donate 100% of the proceeds that we get to Michelle's Place and the Reality Rally. So use the link robhasawebsite.com/Amazon, and feel free to tell anybody you want that if they use that link from March 1st to March 7th, 100% of the commission that we get will go to charity.
There's nothing better than that.
It's nothing better. Nothing better. All right, so that's going to do it for another edition of Rob Has a Podcast. If you liked what you heard here today and you want to give us some good feedback, go ahead and do that on iTunes. Give us 5 stars. That helps us in the ratings. Or if you want to subscribe to this feed or to the main feed or to the Survivor Only feed, you can do so at robhasawebsite.com/show feeds. Okay?
Wowzer.
All right, you ready, Nicole?
I'm ready.
All right, let's get out of here. Have a great day, everybody. Have a great weekend, and we'll be back next week with more Rob Has a Podcast. Take care, everybody.
Got nothing for you.
Bye.